some movie tickets or some, I think, free movie passes. And I also want to thank Bud Light for donating Renfest tickets. So we've got two gift cards from Cinemark, and then we've got 2 set of tickets to Renfest thanks to Bud Light. We will get to those at the end of the show. Texas A&M and Arkansas, Aggies favored by 21.5 points. Like I said, on Saturday morning, Arkansas coming off of a 34-3 defeat to Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And then obviously Arkansas's had a rough go of it so far this year, have losses at Colorado State and then at home, just an embarrassing blowout loss to North Texas. They just seem so discombobulated and all over the map. But really, if you're an A&M fan, you're going into this, you look at it and say maybe Arkansas's back's against the wall, and maybe you don't get to breathe as easy as you'd like to going into an SEC conference game that A&M, frankly, A&M, it's important for their season too. But you don't get to breathe easy because of the nature of the rivalry. There's the John Chavis element. There's the Rakeem Boyd element. Luch, just your thoughts heading into Saturday, just overall.
Well, I think
what it means for the season, for both teams.
Well, I think for Arkansas, it's everything. If they don't win that game, it's hard to find the wins on their schedule. I mean, I think it's Missouri and Vandy. They'll maybe have shots in those games if they keep getting better, but they're going to be underdogs probably in every game. Probably in every game they play the rest of the way, and probably significant underdogs until they win a game like an A&M. I mean, they're going to be double-digit underdogs probably damn near every time out. So they're going to be desperate. You mentioned Rakeem Boyd, and with your boy Devois out, Rakeem is going to get a bunch of carries. You've got Chavis, and not only how bad he wants to win this thing, kind of left here, I think, pretty bitter at the whole situation. I don't understand why. And then, knows more than wanting to beat A&M. Like, what does that mean? Like as if Jimbo Fisher and his coaches don't want to go in and win this game every bit as badly.
So you can bet it means something to Chad Morris, too.
Yeah, it does. But my point is, do you not think it means as much to Jimbo? Right. So, but what I'm saying is, in the case of Chavis, he's very familiar with A&M's offensive personnel. So that is something of substance, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they're playing a desperate football team. And we did the podcast this morning with Dante Hall, and he had an interesting quote from Dick Vermeil when he played for the Rams with him, or it's the Rams, that was the Chiefs. It was, you have to keep a losing team losing. And that's what I mean. If A&M has to come out and not let these guys think they have a chance to win this football game. And it's what Auburn did, but they let Arkansas kind of play with them, but they did enough to keep that score from,
it's a false hope thing.
Yeah, they kept them under their thumb. So you've got to do that, and this will be that type of test for A&M. Can they go out and deliver a knockout blow,
impose their will
early enough, just kind of impose their will throughout the early stages of the game to say, hey, it ain't happening today. A&M teams have not been able to do that to Arkansas.
Never from the get-go. Even that year with Trevor when they ran, but they ran away from them late in the second half.
Yeah, because it was 17 I think it was a tie game at halftime when it was all said and done. I think it was a tie game at the half. But other than 2012 when they had an interim coach and stuff and they came to Kyle Field, but in that game in Cowboys Stadium and even the game up in Fayetteville, A&M's never been able to just kind of serve notice that it ain't happening today early. Well, that would be nice. That would be really nice to see, because I think this is an important one, Brauning, for moving forward. You want to play good football with Kentucky coming in, and then you're going on the road at South Carolina. I think this is that time where you want to see this team, things start kind of coming together. And if it can start Saturday and then you're coming home for a huge game, and then you got to carry that on the road. This 3-game stretch is so important, in my opinion.
Is it easier is it the only reason that this year may be different is just because of how up in the air and all over the map Arkansas is at this point? Or is it you think this A&M team stands a better chance of imposing their will? I mean, A&M is exactly where we thought they'd be after 4 games. Nobody was, I mean, they really are. Arkansas, on the other hand, is not. And I think just watching those games, you can see an element of this is saying, listen, if A&M just goes out and pounds the football and stops the run like they've been doing, they'll essentially do what Auburn did. I think they could do it easier than Auburn did because, like we talked about on Tuesday, Auburn looked real disinterested in that game against Arkansas, and they won by 31. So is the biggest difference to you just how poorly Arkansas has played so far? Is that the reason why you could is that more of a reason that A&M could run off with this thing, or could it be A&M just playing better football?
I think it would have to be A&M playing better football. I don't think A&M coming in and not bringing their A game. I don't think Arkansas is that bad to where A&M showing up but not playing well still runs away with it. I think if A&M doesn't play well, this is a 4-quarter football game that the Aggies win. But if they play well, I think they can run them out of there. No, I think Arkansas is an improving team. I heard Louis this morning saying that they've quit and I didn't see that last week. I don't think they've quit. I think they're playing hard for their coach. I think that North Texas game was a bottom-out moment for them, and it's going to be uphill for a few weeks before they finally get beat enough to where they kind of mail it in. They're not there yet.
There's an element, but I think there's an element to this, Billy. I think there's if you can get on them early, like you said, and impose your will from the onset, there is a here we go again mentality that will set in with that group because they've seen it, they've heard about it in their media. Those Arkansas fans, we're kind of removed from it, but you get on Twitter and you look at some of the comments that are made by their fan base on their official Twitter accounts, and it's rough, man. So those kids, they have to be seeing and hearing that. So
I don't buy the kids and the internet and what the fan, I'm not into that.
But it creeps in. I've been in the locker room. It creeps in there.
The McNeese message boards crept in.
I'm talking about whenever you start losing games a certain way. The same way when was it Sherman's team that would blow the second half lead. So
I agree.
Right. Here we go again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there is an element that if you can come out and impose your will, like you said, maybe mentally they do start checking out early in that game.
Oh, I think that's why I'm saying if A&M plays well, you have that opportunity because and the fact that how many times they've lost to A&M, you can get that. Here we go again. These guys, we've seen it happen. I think we've seen it happen when A&M's played LSU. They get that ground game going, or they jump out on you early. Whichever way it's been, there's always been a moment in that game where, as someone watching, you get that feeling like, they ain't winning this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not because, LSU just had 2 impressive drives. It's you can see the reaction of the football team.
Feel it if you're in the stadium. Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping. And I know we're going to see change with Jimbo Fisher, win, lose, or draw against LSU. I say draw. There are a lot of ties in football now. They're just at the pro level, it seems like. But, yeah, you're spot on. If you get on them early and knock them out, I think they'll just go, man, there's going to be plenty of games this year, I think, where you see Arkansas quit. Whether that's Saturday or not will remain to be seen.
You wrote on the message boards on TexAgs earlier this week about you expect this game to continue in Dallas. Just your thoughts on this being a neutral site game. Do you prefer a game in Jerry World over going to Fayetteville every other year?
Yeah, I do. No. You said, do I prefer a game? Yeah, I do prefer a game. Here's the thing. I look out when I'm doing this, and maybe it's because I'm single. I don't have family. I'm not paying for, me and a wife and 4 kids and tickets. And if I don't live in Dallas, I enjoy going up there, and I enjoy that weekend. I don't hate the stadium like other people do. If there's not a lot of people there, then I'm not going to like neutral site because Kyle Field would be sold out for, or close to it for an Arkansas game. But I know that, and I wrote $1 million, and I was wrong. I thought it was $3 million for every cycle. Mm-hmm. You lose like $3 million a year if you're not playing in that game. If you're A&M, they benefit like $3 million So. To me, to the bottom line and what's best for A&M athletics and what's best for having the money to continue to spend and do the things they want to do and pay for coaches the way they pay for them and not just head coach but assistants and not just football but other sports, that's a lot and that's significant. And if that means that I've got to watch a game a year at a neutral site, so be it. And I kind of enjoy it, but even if I enjoyed it less, I would say still so be it.
Do you think it hurts A&M from a recruiting standpoint with this staff, or do you think this staff is good enough to overcome? You're losing a home game.
You're losing a home game every 2 years.
Right.
If they can't overcome that, then they're not the right coaches.
And this year,
and by the way, I don't think they're spending 1 second of their lives.
I don't think so either. But in this year they are going to have some kids because they are the designated home team, and you can have kids there, and they will. Yeah. Is there a situation where you could see A&M doing something similar, maybe to start a season with a neutral site?
See, that's the thing. I think it does take that away from you. I think it takes that option away from you. It does. If you're doing that,
you don't have 2 in a year.
I guess maybe you can do it on the year that you're supposed to be at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
But with the way they've got their home and home scheduled,
it's already out to like 2024, right? Like they've got
even further than that, I think.
But they're all home and home. Like I don't think any of them have been scheduled neutrals, have they?
No, I'm saying it goes way beyond. It goes to like 2028. You still got one more year at Clemson. You've got Colorado for 2. You've got Miami for 2. You've got Notre Dame for 2 and Arizona State for 2. You're going 9 years out still. So now unless I don't know how late they put those games together, but unless it's a deal where Colorado look like they're going to be really terrible in that second year of that thing, and you're like, man, this is not a good schedule.
I actually wouldn't mind a trip to Boulder.
Yeah, well, they're going to go. I'm saying to add one, but I don't. My quick answer, Bronny, is no. I don't think you'll see that happen.
On the other side of the break, we'll start digging into this matchup, A&M and Arkansas on Saturday. Listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
For more information on the Zone 102.7 and Sports Radio 1150, visit zone1150.com now.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at texags.com and become a premium subscriber. texags.com/subscribe.
If you're not bundling your insurance with Allstate, you might have fear of missing out, or FOMO.
You're too old to say FOMO.
But people who don't bundle their auto and home with Allstate...
No, FOMO's about fun stuff, not insurance.
But what if people use the money they save to pay for that fun stuff?
Okay, fine.
Bundle your auto and home insurance and save up to 25%. Call BCS Allstate agent Jerry Anderson, class of 82 at 979-764-0015 today.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Hi, this is Bobby Jenkins with ABC Home and Commercial Services. This is the time of year when rodents are flourishing. That means rats, raccoons, and mice are seeking shelter inside your home. No matter what kind of rodents you have, ABC can create a plan to get rid of them. Close up the openings where they come in and catch any that may be in your home. Plus, all ABC specialists undergo background screening so you can feel comfortable with our team on your property. ABC Home and Commercial Services, specialists for your environment.
For courteous service, just call ABC Home and Commercial Services.
Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. We put your feet back on the streets. Fast professional service with the best rates in town. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. Open 24/7. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is Aggie owned and operated, class of 95. Serving the Brazos Valley for over 20 years. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is located behind the Brazos County Courthouse in Bryan. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Or visit GageGandyBailBonds.com. We put your feet back on the streets.
Be good to your vehicle, and it'll be good to you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia from Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube. And while that's a simple concept, it's so true. We're a full-service oil and lube shop with years of experience. And that experience tells us to always go the extra mile for our customers. Like topping off fluids for free on most vehicles and free tire pressure checks.
See Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube on Villa Maria at 2818 next to Raleigh Car Wash, or at East William J. Bryan next to the main post office.
Pay off credit card debt with a personal loan from Marcus by Goldman Sachs. When you have a family, life adds up. A new semester of school, a new season on the team, and new goalie pads to go with it. Now your youngest wants to learn an instrument. And of course, she didn't pick the harmonica. Debt happens. It's how you get out that counts. Get a personal loan from Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Fixed interest rates and no fees, ever. Learn more at marcus.com.
Whether the Aggies are on the road or at the friendly confines of Kyle Field, the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, has got you covered. home or away, rain or shine, things get underway 3 hours before kickoff on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. The Zone Game Day Show is sponsored by Elms Orthodontics, Gage Gandy Bell Bonds, and Oscar & Sons Body Shop. It's the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Welcome back, Beliucci Hour Lunch, live from here at the Tap on Harvey Road. If you're joining us via the Zone 1150 Facebook page or their YouTube page, we thank you for that. However you've got us tuned in, we are happy to have you guys along as we continue to climb into the A&M versus Arkansas matchup. Luch, and I wanted to start this segment off really before we start breaking down, how A&M and Arkansas, line up across from each other. Two important I don't know if they're important. I'll get your take on how important you think they are. Two important stats came out this week. The guys at Pro Football Focus at A&M's offensive line ranked 14th in the SEC based on production. And then, to me, the most important one, or for A&M fans and for the A&M football team, is the missed tackles rate. Did you see that?
I don't pay much attention to those, the PFF stuff, really.
Well, A&M is at 20.5% on their missed tackles rate. That's 5% higher than Florida, who's second from the bottom. So going into this week,
here's my thing.
Does that have to do with the schedule, or does it have to do with?
Let me interject on that. Yeah, I know where you're going with it, and I agree. I don't need the stat breakdown to say they're doing a really poor job of tackling, and they've given up a lot of sacks and pressures.
Well, yeah, that goes back to stats are for people that don't go to the games.
Yeah.
If you go watch the games, you don't need numbers. Yeah, you're missing a lot of tackles.
Now, where it gets interesting is in comparison to others, but this early I start to pay more attention to that as the season goes on, because it's so much at this point not apples to apples. And you mentioned it, and I think you're right on. A lot of it has to do with who A&M's playing.
They have to run the football better this week.
Who in the SEC of these 14 teams where A&M ranks 14th have played 2 games the likes of which A&M's played?
Nobody.
There might be an answer, but I don't see it. And especially when you say who has played 2 defenses.
LSU would be the closest.
And, yeah, but Miami
and all, that would be the closest.
Yeah, and think about how far of a gap that is. And then you take it and narrow it down even more, and you say who has played 2 defensive fronts like that. Actually, Auburn might be the closest, having played LSU and Washington. Yeah. But it's still no comparison, especially Auburn they played LSU without Calais and Chasen, to Clemson and Alabama. Those are night and day. That's 50% of your games. Now, with that said, is just chalking it up to Bama Clemson enough for me to say, nope, A&M's going to run the ball on everybody, and the missed tackles will improve because they're not playing Alabama and Clemson, and those other teams don't have as much skill talent as them? My answer is I'm more worried about the tackling, because I do think they'll play teams with skill talent that is very comparable to Bama and Clemson moving forward. I think where those two teams are a different level is the defensive fronts. And I do think that the running game will get better as the season goes on, and they're playing, teams with – Arkansas leads the SEC in run defense. But, again, I think they're not Bama, they're not Clemson. I think you'll see A&M improve running the football as it goes on. But I'm still like – I want to see, what does that mean? What does improved running mean against Arkansas and Kentucky and South Carolina in the coming weeks? I think it's a very important stretch for this A&M ground game and the Aggie O-line.
So how do you envision this matchup between A&M's front 5 against an Arkansas defensive front, or front 7? That's not great. They've got some good players in there: Dre Greenlaw, McTelvin Agim. I think this
Armon Watts, not to be confused with Armani Watts, with 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles.
I know. I just look at the competition they've played, and nobody really wanted to run the ball. Colorado State didn't want to run the ball. They couldn't because they were so far down. They had to pass to get back in it. We know North Texas isn't that kind of team.
And they didn't have to.
And then Auburn, again, I thought Auburn was lethargic. Like, I thought Auburn never really tried to come out and put their foot on their throat, whether it was an LSU hangover, whatever. I think A&M can get after this front seven of Arkansas.
I think they can, and if they can't, it's because John Chavis is completely selling out with numbers and letting guys get in the backfield and try to disrupt. And even if he does that, I think that might be some big plays for Travion Williams. It might
Kellen.
Be. Yeah, absolutely. It might be a lot of 1 yard, 2 yard, and 3 yard, and then all of a sudden 50. Mm-hmm. It might be that. Or it might be where this is a day where Kellen Mond starts connecting with Courtney Davis and Kendrick Rogers down the field, and Jamon Osmond has a 100-yard day, or Jay Sternberger, and they just light them up throwing the football, if that's what is required. But, I think they will. I agree with you. I think they'll run better. I don't know if they'll light them up, or it'll be fits and spurts where it's some big plays in the running game and a lot of big plays in the passing game.
Is this the week where Ja'Shawn Corbin gets more carries?
I think so. I mean, by more, what do you mean?
Well, what he get?
6,
he was kind
7,
of a
8.
mop up. I still felt like he was the third option last week against Bama. I'm basically, is he now the second option at running back?
I've always said I don't know that we'll ever this year call him the second option. I think Etwe will be that guy in that role. But I do think, if you said, who do you think will start having more carries moving forward? I think that guy's Corbin. Does that make any sense? Like, Etwe's the reliable. Like,
could you see him getting 10 touches this week, Ja'Shawn? No, I don't.
I'd
love to see him in the return game. And I know that we're not out there and we're in practice, so there's a reason why he's not back there, obviously. But I just think that he's been so explosive and he's been so close so many times to breaking the big one. And
I think
unlike
eventually
Rashad Paul or
him.
Kwame Etwe, he does have the straight line speed to once he finds a crease to the house.
I think you will see him in the return game. I think it's just a matter of when he does it to such a level. Because remember, Rashad Paul's been consistent and reliable. This is a game that you should.
If they were poor on special teams,
you can't afford a gaff in the return game. Why give them that's a way for them to stay in it. Mm-hmm. You're in Jerry World. It's a little bit different, if you hadn't seen it. Rashad Paul's at least seen it. Of course, all that being said, I think eventually you see Ja'Shawn Corbin as some kind of weapon in the return game. And maybe it's a kick return first. I don't know which one will be first, but I do think he's dangerous. And he's got to prove it, though, beyond – like, he's got to make them think, okay, he's as reliable as Rashad Paul is at
catching the ball, yeah.
Catching it.
A&M's defensive backfield has been kind of talked about and a little bit maligned through this past week. What's your feel on Ty Story, the quarterback at Arkansas, and can he exploit if A&M does have those weaknesses? Was it a Tua thing, or was it the A&M DBs? Was it a Tua and Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence thing, or the A&M DBs?
You mean Kelly Bryant, who never played against A&M? That game does not exist. He did not play this year. He redshirted.
That's unbelievable.
He's no longer with their team. He's not a Clemson quarterback, but yet
if they win the national championship, that kid better get a ring.
That'd be crazy, yeah. Or what about if at ACC or whatever?
What do you think about Ty Story as we go into the break?
I think anybody in college football can throw the ball to wide open receivers if they're not under pressure and they're throwing to wide open receivers. And I'm not taking away from what Tua did. He made some spectacular throws, but he also made a lot of really easy throws where he wasn't under duress. If that's the case on Saturday, and Ty Story can throw the football. Now,
he's not more talented than the Allen brothers, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. But if they put pressure on him, he's going to throw interceptions. He's going to take sacks.
They've thrown a lot of interceptions already.
He's not going to see the field good. And so if that's the case, if A&M puts pressure all these question marks about can they pressure the quarterback, can they create turnovers, I think they'll both be answered. And I think it starts, though, with shutting down Rakeem Boyd in that running game, because if they do that, I also think Mike Elko will be a lot more apt to blitz and throw things at Ty Story than he was Tua, to kind of hang his guys out there against Judy and Adams and those dudes. It's a little bit different animal.
Other things to stay in games. I would not surprise to see fake punts, a ton of trick plays, reverses, anything like that, just because they've got to, like you said, false hope, anything to give them momentum or a belief that they can stay in this football game. And I don't think Chad Morris is a dumb guy. No. And I don't think he's too prideful to say this is the only way that we're going to have to do it is my way. And especially with all the familiarity, it would not surprise me to see them come out and double reverse pass early or something like that.
Good observation. I think they'll let it all hang out.
From News Talk 1620 WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on Sports Radio 1150 in the Zone 102.7 FM. Changes could be coming to College Station's code enforcement regulations. Mayor Carl Mooney on WTAW's The Infomaniacs says today's council discussion and possible action was not the result of any particular incident.
There's multiple things that have come up, and there isn't one person who comes up and says, I need that, or I want that. This has been an accumulation of concerns and complaints brought up by neighbors who are saying, you know what, the yard next to me is looking more like a junkyard.
Areas of possible code enforcement changes range from what to do about abandoned shopping carts to overgrown vegetables. Council meeting, council directed staff to do an update for the second time this year regarding requests from the Castle Heights neighborhood, which is east of the freeway and south of Highway 21. Buppy Simek was one of two councilmen who asked for the update.
I think it's important, too, you've got to sometimes look at the whole city, because you can do something in one part of the city that can affect a different part of the city. So I think it's important to tie all this together, not just leave out some of the other things that we're trying to help flooding in other areas.
The council was told to expect the report in October or November. A breast cancer survivor who is also a collegiate gymnastics coach and corporate speaker was featured at the 16th Surviving and Thriving Luncheon hosted by the Pink Alliance Breast Cancer Support Organization. You can hear comments from Valerie Condos Field online at WTAW.com. For more news, you can also follow us on social media at WTAW 1620. I'm Chelsea Reber on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Fender benders, parking lot challenges, scrapes, bruises, and bumps. I'm vehicle challenged when it comes to avoiding objects that get in my way. Hi, I'm Mary Mike Hatcher for Oscar & Sons Body Shop. My car is my second office, and it's so important to keep it looking great. Oscar & Sons Body Shop has done just that. As a family affair for over 40 years, they remove cosmetic blemishes to major auto body repair. Google Oscar & Sons. They'll come to you with a free estimate for your repairs. Oscar & Sons Body Shop. They wreck it, we fix it.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. If so, you need someone on your side. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has over 20 years' experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Gustitis will fight for you. Call now to set up your free consultation. 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Call 823-9111 or visit GustitisLaw.com to see how Steve Gustitis can put the law on your side.
He plays all your favorite songs.
One great song after another.
Chip Howard Sports Talk. Weekdays 4 to 6. Yeah. And only on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Tap on Harvey Road. Beliucci Hour Lunch. Live and in color. Want to say thanks again to Cinemark and Bud Light for their gifts or their prizes that they've donated for the SEC challenge here at the Tap. 2 Cinemark gift cards as well as a pair of tickets from Bud Light for Renfest, and which is starting up soon. I guess I'm going to have to. I'm going to Klein Collins tonight, Luch. I guess is Renfest started? Because if it has, you got to avoid, what is that, 1488? That thing can be a nightmare. And anytime you go to like that Tomball area, I like taking that way than going the highway the whole time.
Yeah.
But you ever been through there when Renfest is going on? Dude, it is parking lot.
You would have to talk to Louie about that one.
Oh, Louie's a big Renfest guy?
Yeah.
I could see Louie dressing up. And
I would go. I'm just so busy on the weekends.
Louie would be
fall.
squiring about the town.
I would love to go. I'm so busy.
Do you think he dresses
on weekends
up?
during the fall.
He probably drinks that beer they make out there. Like on site.
Yeah, probably.
Got a question from here at the tap before we go into your players to watch. Is A&M the best college team in the state of Texas? If not, then who? Still too early to tell, I think.
Too early, but I would lean towards saying yeah.
If A&M
North
and
Texas might be number 2. Texas is probably number 2 right now, but it could be North Texas.
If A&M and Texas played this week, neutral site, you'd pick A&M?
Yeah. A lot of confidence on Texas side that wasn't there a couple weeks ago, but I like A&M to win.
What I don't get is how Texas.
I think the Aggies stopped that Texas running game. Texas would, they'd have some success throwing the ball to those big wide outs, but
Colin Johnson's a player, man.
I think if you stop that running game, I think they would. I don't think Texas would score enough. Now, I think the Aggies, that Texas defense seems really good, but I don't think they're amazing up front. We talked to Bruce Feldman about that today. I don't think they're amazing up front, and the Aggies would have some success running and kind of open things up. I like that A&M offense. That game to me would be about a 34-20, 34-24 type of game for A&M.
When A&M has got the ball, is it Kellen Mond's going to be an important player every week? We understand that. But is there a more important guy this week just to get himself back going again than Travion Williams offensively?
Well, I think it's not as – hang on, Brauninger. Keep talking.
Oh.
Good work. Good work. I think it's not as – I said keep talking. Oh.
Well, I don't know what – dynamite drop in. I didn't know what you wanted me to do. I kicked it to you, and you kicked it right back.
It was a hot potato there. I think it's not just Travion. To answer your question, I think the answer to that is Travion Williams and the A&M offensive line and the blocking of the tight end. So, like, Aggie blocking and Travion, I mean, again, you were facing Alabama. And those rushing yards by the quarterback count. I don't want us to get caught up in this.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, people do that, and they go, oh, it was Kellen running. This is not like Johnny Manziel running.
Tommy Frazier ran a lot.
Well, Tommy Frazier, geez, you're going way back.
Well, I'm just talking about like guys like design running quarterbacks. Like that's fine. Like it didn't not count his yards.
A lot of them, and they count Kellen's scrambling yards too. They count Johnny's. My point though is Johnny ran for 1,200 yards, probably 900 of it came on scrambles. 900 of it came on scrambles. There was some
the other
quarterback draws
came against Oklahoma. The quarterback draws.
Quarterback draws, or they ran that quarterback power.
Yeah.
But if they're going to keep doing that, I think those yards absolutely count. But I think it needs to be in conjunction with Travion getting going again and the O-line winning the battle between the tackles. And I think that'll start coming again. I think that has way more to do with who they played against than who they are.
Best player on Arkansas's defense.
There's some good ones, actually. I like Pulley at corner.
I like Drake Greenlaw a lot, man.
Drake Greenlaw, to me, is probably the best. And guess what? They didn't have him when they lost to Colorado State in North Texas. Not to say that a 4-touchdown loss to North Texas, but that defense was not the same without Drake Greenlaw in it. And he's back. Santos Ramirez is solid. He's kind of a playmaker.
He reminds me of Derek Tucker a little bit. Like he can be had in certain areas of the game, but he's a good player.
Get you if you. Santos is pretty good. Pulley at corner is pretty good. They missed him last year. McTelvin again is a really good player. Dejon Harris, the guy that A&M passed on.
I wish they would have offered him.
It's funny that Chief passed on him, and then there he is coaching him. He third in the SEC in tackles last year. And Armon Watts there at defensive tackle. I think that's a big matchup, he versus Hawker and Sutherland in there. So their defense has some good players, but I'm with you. I think Greenlaw's the best.
On A&M's on defense, Arkansas's got the ball. Biggest advantage for A&M, is it up front again?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I do not like Arkansas's offensive line.
Nope. And that Frodo.
Yeah. Where's he from, Sweden or Norway or something?
Wherever he's from, they talk a lot of crap in that country because he's coming in here and he guaranteed to win. He guaranteed to win over A&M at SEC Media Days. So if I'm –
I can't believe Olin hasn't written an article in Norwegian or something.
Yeah. If I'm Dalen Mack or Justin Matabike or Kingsley Kiki, I want to wear that dude out. I'm disrespected by that, and I say, you know what? You want to run your mouth, you Swede, or what is it? Norwegian or wherever.
I got to look it up.
Whatever
Danish?
It is.
Is he Danish?
Dane. I'm like, if you want to run your mouth, we're coming at you, and we're coming at you for 4 quarters. And
he's Scandinavian.
Is he?
It's that whole
Scandinavia, yeah. Look, wherever he's from, it doesn't matter. I actually think it's really cool that I love when these guys from other countries end up finding their way, like London did.
Yeah, who's the German guy that's in the NFL now? The
receiver.
There's a giant.
Oh yeah, I don't know where he's from.
Marcus Hunt played at SMU, right?
He's Latvian.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But I love when the guys with the backgrounds in Europe find their way to play college and pro football. I think it's really cool, and actually a lot of them end up being really, really good because to end up being discovered and make it to this level, they're usually exceptional talents. And he actually is a good player. I mean, he's an all-SEC candidate, but he ran his mouth at SEC Media Days, and I think if you're A&M, I know it's nameless, faceless, and it's the next game and do your job, but I know as a competitor there'd be a little something in me to say, you know what, I'm gonna work this dude over, and I'm gonna take pride in doing it.
Justin Matabike working on back-to-back weeks, completely ripping the helmet off of somebody.
Yeah, hopefully he'll stop that streak.
I could not. He ripped Damian Harris's face
Somebody
mask
asked me,
off.
what did they get him for? I go, I'm pretty sure it's a face mask if you look, and the guy's face mask is off.
What kind of strength do you have to have in your hands to rip a dude's face mask
I don't know because I don't have it.
And then against ULM, he plucked it right off his head. That guy's crazy strong. I think he's been playing really, really well.
Yeah.
So the most important defender for A&M, is it one of the DBs, one of the safeties? Somebody's got to step up back there,
or
man.
Landis Durham. I mean,
Landis needs to play better, yeah.
Landis, and I don't think he's been playing bad.
Well, just production. Needs to be more productive.
I think he's been productive. I think they haven't asked him to just quite get after the quarterback like he did in Chavis's D. He drops a lot. But, yeah, I mean, 1 sack through 4 games. He's rushing enough to not have that be a number. And they need him. They need that guy to step up. Last year I had him pegged as a guy to watch against Arkansas, and he was SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. He had 2 sacks, a forced fumble. And
against an offense that's not going to drop back as much as this one is.
Yeah. So I think Landis Durham, and he's actually going against what might be their best lineman. If not, it's their second best. So it'll be a good test. But I think Landis needs to step up and play big.
A pass rush will certainly help
the entire
DBs.
secondary.
Somebody's got to play better back there. I mean, I don't care who it is. I mean, you wrote about Keldrick Carper and your players to watch, and he should be back this week. But somebody back there, just for the goodwill and the good feeling of the entire defense, I think just somebody come up with an interception and a couple TFLs, whether it's Dono, whether it's Tuck, Keldrick Carper, Larry, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Somebody needs to step up and play well, and I think just get the good feeling back into the group.
Yep, no question.
Do you think A&M, like Auburn, and we spoke about it a little bit, can make big plays in the return game this week?
I got to see it first. It's one of those. I got to see it first. We haven't seen it yet. Jimbo has said that he feels like they're close, but I think we still have to see it.
I'm encouraged by what you talked about earlier about what Rashad's done, and then Seth Small has been a huge weapon. And I don't anticipate A&M kicking as many field goals, but one thing that Chief did here at A&M was that he was typically pretty good in the red zone, and he did it against Arkansas over and over. So, he runs that double eagle front where, he just mans up everybody and lets his linebackers run around. I do think A&M can have success. I think A&M's better up front than Arkansas is on the defensive front. But still, to have a true freshman come in and give you that confidence from 52 in Tuscaloosa, he made that kick, he can make any kick.
Yeah, I agree. That the punting and kicking in that game indoors, and that should be a big advantage for the Aggies.
Do you think Jerry World's lost some of its luster? Because so many of these kids grow up playing in it now, and there's so many events there. Has it lost its luster for you?
I mean, to me, after the first time or two you're in there, it's like, okay, I like games in there. I know a lot of people complain about it, and I don't.
Would you rather see a game there or NRG?
Jerry World for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so too. Even when I go for these high school events, you still, when you walk in, you do look around. I mean, even though you know what it's like, you do look up and look around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's lost its luster. It's still the most grandiose thing you're going to go in. I mean, it's not like college football players, unless you're playing at Bama, are going to Cowboy Stadium and the one in Minnesota, and then you're playing the one in Atlanta. These are still monstrosities that these kids, if you go play, if you're from Manville and Jalen Preston's played 6 games in his time in Cowboy Stadium.
Or at NRG, yeah.
That's fine, but it's not that makes it lose. It's that Arkansas is bad this year, and it's that A&M's been average, for their last 4 years that they've gone there, and Arkansas has been worse than average. That's what loses luster. It's that they put Miami in a game who doesn't travel that well, and LSU fans don't go because they think they're going to lose. And that was actually a pretty good crowd. But my point is, if there's any luster lost, there was no luster lost when USC and Ohio State played in the Cotton Bowl last year. Yeah. There was no luster lost when Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner, and a top 10 Oklahoma team went in there and played last year.
So it's all about the matchup, who's there. Sure.
So as A&M gets better and better and becomes more and more of a power, no Aggie fan's going to want to miss that game.
On the other side of the break, we're going to pick these games. But, Luch, real quick before we go, as A&M gets ready to play Arkansas for the first time under Chad Morris, under 4 years, Chad Morris is the head coach of Arkansas.
Man, that's tough to say. I'm actually going to go with the under for now, because I think he could get off to such a rough start in year one that it really starts to shorten that timeline.
And it's such a tough place to recruit to when you're not winning.
That's the thing. If you dig yourself a hole early, I just don't know if you can dig out of it. And then you think about if you're not recruiting at the proper requisite level and you're playing in the SEC.
You can't Oklahoma State this thing.
No.
You can't TCU it.
No.
Not in this conference.
You can't dig your way up and out. You just can't. You can't do it, and we'll see. I like
by
Chad
the way,
Morris.
You're fighting for those two schools for players.
I like Chad Morris. I don't like the social media blitz and repelling from – I don't like that he thinks that so much – that the stuff outside of football is so important that it seems to take precedent sometimes in the way this staff with their corny videos, and I don't like that. I don't think he made the best hire at D.C. I don't think Chavis is bad. I just think I just think it was a recycled hire. And the start they've got, this is a big game for them. A&M's got to come to play. Yep. If you think we know what a big game it is for them, don't kid yourself. Those guys in Fayetteville understand what's at stake. They understand the rest of the schedule. They understand their team getting down and maybe packing it in and what that will mean long term. So they're backed into a corner, and they're absolutely, it's like you literally, for those of you guys that hunt, it's a wounded hog. And our guy up here on the front row's probably got it looks like he's got a buck knife in there or some kind of weaponry he's brought in here today. But if you've got a wounded hog in the corner, it's not something you want to run across when you're out in the woods. That's for sure.
On the other side of the break, we'll pick games and announce our SEC Challenge winners from the first 4 weeks. You'll listen to the Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
You're listening to the Zone FM 102.7 and Sports Radio 1150.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
We are Symetria Recovery,
the one outpatient treatment network that focuses on one thing:
crushing opioid addiction.
With one treatment team.
Counselors, doctors, nurses, psychiatrists.
One proven method, the Symetria method.
With a success rate 4 times the industry average.
Call 844-847-6999.
That's 844-847-6999.
Hey, opioid addiction, we've got your number.
Folks are always looking for a place to meet friends, grab some food, relax, and unwind with a cold beer, mixed drink, or glass of Boots sweet tea. The Tap on Harvey Road has been the place to do just that for nearly 30 years. A casual atmosphere and tasty food keeps people coming back for more. Our burgers, salads, chicken tenders, nachos, and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being an SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the game. See you at the Tap on Harvey Road in College Station.
This is a radio spot for parents of children needing braces. Kids, tune out. Not that you're listening anyway. It's that time. Orthodontics. So you ask your friends. They say Dr. Elms. You ask your coworkers. They say Dr. Elms because he also has a free shuttle. You ask your kids. They don't say anything, of course. But you say, do you want better with that roll? So there you go. Dr. Elms. Next thing you know, college. And their teeth will look great.
DrElms.com.
For your car, your home, your business too, Acme Glass takes care of you. For over 60 years, we're the clear leader. Our quality and value keeps shining through. For repair and replacement on all kinds of glass, you can trust Acme for quality that lasts. Where quality and value keep shining through, Acme Glass, we're the clear leader.
The Aggies open their home portion of the SEC schedule October 6th against Kentucky, and we've got tickets. Stop by and register at both College Station UPS locations, the Bypass in Rock Prairie, and Texas and Harvey in the Kohl Center, and the brand-new location of the Dollar Floor Store, the big bright orange warehouse near the Bend on Texas Avenue in Bryan. Fill out the slip, write ST on the outside, and wait for your name to be called. Aggie football tickets from your pal at Sports Talk, Sports Radio 1150, and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Closing the show here on a Thursday afternoon from the Tap. Ryan Brauninger, Beliucci Hour Lunch. I want to go through these winners real quick from each week. Remember, big thanks to Cinemark and Bud Light for their donations to the winners. Week 1 winner is Richard Hutchison. If you're in the Tap, Richard Hutchison, if you're here, you can come pick this up. Week 2 winner, Eddie Sherman. If you were here, you got Cinemark gift cards. The Renfest, these next 2 weeks are the Renfest winners. Matt Woods. Boy, you know what? Y'all should you show up and get your prizes, man. And then the Week 4 winner is D. Godby. He left? Somebody can bring him his stuff. I know y'all hang out together on the weekend, don't y'all? Y'all have sleepovers together? He's front table guy. Yeah, y'all probably share a sleeping bag, huh? Yeah. Luch, I'm invoking the wrath of the front table. They need a win. The front table needs a win, so they
do.
Yeah. Week 5 Tap SEC Pick'em Challenge. We got about 4 minutes, Luch, so let's roll through these. Virginia Tech versus Duke.
I'm going to go Duke. I don't think the Hokies bounce back.
I do think they bounce back.
ODU massacre.
I think Justin Fuente is a really good coach, and I think they bounce back.
I do too, but I think Cutcliffe is a good coach too that nobody talks about.
Texas K-State.
At Texas, I'm surprised this game's on here. Kansas State. I know the history. I know how tough it is to go play at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Sounds like a
Everybody
grocery
gets
store.
free Werther's Originals as you
Yeah,
walk in.
it sounds like a grocery store in the Midwest, but I think Kansas State's pretty bad.
SC, Arizona.
Tougher than you think, because I think SC's bad, and they were fortunate to get by Washington State last week, but I like USC.
Yeah, I think that was a good win. I actually picked Washington State in that game. Oregon, California. Oregon's playing good ball.
So is Cal.
Yeah.
I'm going Cal at home.
Woo,
I like
no
Justin
way.
Wilcox, Tim DeRuyter.
Okay.
Although Oregon was about that close to House and Stanford last week,
I know.
and they didn't finish them off.
Stanford, Notre Dame.
Stanford, that's a tough one. I like, Notre Dame changed quarterbacks. He looked good. It was against Wake. They fired their DC after that game. That's how bad they thought that performance was. I like Stanford to win that one on the road.
Man, in front of touchdown Jesus, you went Stanford in the tree. Purdue, Nebraska, two bad teams.
Who'd you go at Notre Dame?
I picked Notre Dame.
Okay.
I like Book, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Purdue, Nebraska.
I went with Purdue.
They're both bad.
I don't care. Yeah, they're both 0 so far.
No,
I think.
Purdue won last week.
I like Purdue in that one.
Nebraska got run off by Troy.
I like their coach a little more than I like Nebraska's coach.
You don't like Scott Frost?
I like Braum a little more than Frost now.
Yep, big one in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Penn State.
I might change this for tomorrow's deal I do, but I'm going to go Ohio State close.
I think Ohio State – I don't think Trace McSorley's just got – I don't think he's got the weapons that he had. Obviously, Saquon Barkley leaving. I like Dwayne Haskins. I like the way Ohio State played. I like their team speed against TCU, what I saw. So I went with the Buckeyes on the road. Florida, Mississippi State in Stark Vegas.
I'm going to go Mississippi State, but I don't feel I don't feel great about that. Those two I'm going to revisit.
I went Mississippi State. I don't think Florida stops the run real well. I got questions about a lot, especially at the quarterback position too. I'm not a believer in Felipe Franks.
And I think they're going to get Mississippi State. Obviously, they're going to get their best shot and the fans' best shot.
South Carolina.
Felipe Franks on the road, yeah.
South Carolina, Kentucky, and a big one in the East.
I'm going Kentucky at home. That spread's smaller than that. That spread makes me wonder, though, is South Carolina better than we're giving them credit for? Because did everybody just give up on them because they got pounded by Georgia? Because Vandy's not that good, but they went into Vandy a week after Vandy coulda, shoulda, woulda beat Notre Dame, and they handled them. They got after them.
30 seconds or less than 30 seconds, A&M Arkansas. And score.
I liked A&M, obviously, and I like
cover 21.5.
No, I think they get close to that. I could see a 31-14, 34-17 type of game, something like that. I think A&M pulls away. I don't think they ambush them and run them out of the stadium or anything. I just think over the course of the game, I think Arkansas's offense isn't good enough to get it done.
I got Ags 41-20. We'll see you guys next week to break it all down. Beliucci Hour Lunch. Louis Bellina's on the other side of the break.
Folks are